Test, test, test.
Just waiting on a couple more. I expect one more, but we can go ahead and get started. We do have quorum. So, yeah. Roll call. I guess just state your name if you are here.
Steve Romanelli.
Rachel Yondel. Tressa Greshak.
Sharon Deaver.
Thomas Dewhurst.
All right. And I am balancing between the old agenda and this one. It should be pretty much the same. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything. And I'll combine them into the same format for next time so it's easier. So assurance of live streaming, we're good on that? Or as sped as we can be? You can see it? Okay, so Facebook and YouTube should be there, okay. And I would entertain a motion to adopt this agenda.
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
Okay. And then discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? Okay, so unanimous. We are good with the agenda. And we have two different meeting minutes to approve. So January and February. Hopefully everyone got their email with those. Okay. And then I would, was there any corrections, or otherwise I would entertain a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve?
Okay, do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? No? Okay, unanimous, we're moving on. Okay. So on this one, we'll check the phone line to see if there's any public comments. I believe that would be you, Carrie. No public comments from the phones. Anyone in the audience? I know I think I know why all of you are here, but just if you wanted to comment, okay. Cool. Then, great. All right, then we're on to new business already for the what we were calling procedural, which is the new applicant interviews, which we have 2 today. By chance, are we able to get their stuff on the screen, or no? It's okay if not. Okay. Yeah, fair. Okay, I wasn't sure if that would be to everyone if we did that. So, okay. So never mind. Don't worry. But yeah, we can. Let's see here. I don't. Everyone should have gotten the emails. I think the other one was from a month ago, so I'd have to dig back there, but.
Yeah, I know I had the most recent one. I couldn't find the one from last month. I don't know if I lost the email or what, but.
Let's see here. The 12th was the most recent one, and the one before. Okay, yes, March for the most recent one, and let me know if anyone finds it first for the first one. Okay, perfect. I found it. It's from the February 12th. Wow. So, David, if you would like to step up, we can start by asking questions, or you can introduce yourself, I guess.
All right, my name is Dave DeBack. I'm a lifelong resident of Kalamazoo, and I'm open for any questions you have.
Okay, great. Since it's been a while, maybe we can just start with probably some things you've already answered on here, but why are you interested in applying for the ECC?
Well, a few months ago, on one of the 3 or 4 days of cross-country skiing we had in this area, ran into Gail Walter on the ski trail, and we got talking about a couple of different items, and then she had mentioned she's leaving and asked what the committee does, and she said I should come down here. I said I'm not sure I have anything that I can offer you guys, but she said I should come down, make myself available, see what you guys think. But basically, lifelong resident. I don't have any kind of background in science or environmental sciences, but been, like I said, active in the community doing a bunch of different things over the years. And the environment to me right now is of critical importance. A little frustrated that more people don't see it that way. And so I figured it's time for me to do a little bit more to be active in that realm. So I'm looking for things that I can do.
Great. So we don't require anyone to be experts, but what are the most, I guess, top of the priority list for you environmentally that you're interested in seeing what you can do about, I guess, or whatever your intentions are, what your focus is right now?
Well, there's a lot of things. I paddle on the Kalamazoo River and all of the bodies of water in the area, so I've got a deep concern about fresh water in the Great Lakes Basin in general, Kalamazoo River in particular. I sit on the Stewart's Kleinstuck board. I see a bunch of different invasive species, different concerns down there, and just in general, I'm an avid cyclist also, so I'm always concerned about that and the bicycle paths and whatnot. So, those are all areas. I also did a lot of work on the north side for a while, so I'm familiar with graphic packaging and the neighborhood that's in, so I understand. I have a lot of friends that live in that area, so I've been hearing about some of those concerns. But just basically a broad-based citizens' viewpoint of environmental concerns.
Great. Awesome. Any other questions from anyone else? I don't need to hog them all. Okay.
And as far as what I may have to offer, I suppose we should go back a little bit on that. I was in the legal career community for a number of years, so did a fair amount of dispute resolution, interviewing witnesses, both expert and witnesses, but lots of interviews. And basically, dispute resolution was something that I always enjoyed and thought that I was okay at getting to the bottom line on what people's feelings are and what's motivating them.
Great. Okay.
Oh, and I'm available on Wednesdays.
Oh, yeah. That's usually my first question. So you're able to consistently come at 4:30 on the third Wednesday of the month, which is what our current schedule is. And you understand it's a 3-year position that you could renew for another 3 years.
Yes,
Great.
I'm not going anywhere.
Do you have current concerns in the Kleinstuck Reserve as far as invasive species or invasive insects right now?
Not so much of the insects, although I see that the hemlock woolly whatever is north of here now. Invasive species, the deer are an issue in Kleinstuck, no doubt. Those are the biggest concerns right now. I mean, as a board, we've been very aggressive in dealing with the plant invasive species. Have been putting in lots of hours on that and feeling actually pretty good about that. Plus, we just got a decent amount of cash for the planting of native hardwoods in Kleinstuck. But that kind of ties into the deer situation too. So I've been hearing lots of different things in that area. But that's basically where my Stewart's stuff interests lie.
I understand. I took a 7-week course with Penn State on planting trees and helping their survival rate. And if you have an overpopulation of deer, those first couple of years are really critical in keeping them from munching everything.
Yeah, just coincidentally going to go on a paddle trip in British Columbia this fall, and I did not realize it, but they started introducing deer in the north part of Vancouver Island and some other place up in British Columbia in the 40s. And so they have got a long study now of the impact. So part of my trip out there is going to be dropping in on some site visits for fun.
Anything else?
That's easy. Okay. Do you want me to sit around for the whole meeting? I don't.
So we have another applicant, so we can go through that too. And then, I mean, we have multiple positions, so normally we vote and usually we ask people to leave, but it's live streaming, so we've kind of recently just had you be here during that. You don't need to stay for the whole meeting, but you're obviously welcome to see
I've watched a couple of them on YouTube, and I see that they don't last very long, so that's always a plus. I've sat on several boards that can go well into the evening, so.
Yeah, I think the latest I've noticed was closer to like 6:15, but we haven't been going past 6, usually at the latest, closer to 5:30 more recently, I'd say.
Nice. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, the next applicant, is it Demarius? Demarius, I'm sorry.
Hello. Thank you for having me. So my name's Demarius Potter. I'm a junior at Western. I decided to apply for this position because I've been involved in some Green Week planning with the Office for Sustainability on campus, and that got me in contact with other organizations around Kalamazoo. And I also went to a networking event where I met Vice Mayor Hess over here, and she gave me some encouragement about joining. I saw online that there were open positions, and so I'm also majoring in political science and environmental sustainability. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity to kind of expand what I'm doing, and to get involved in the local aspect of it. And I'm not from Kalamazoo, though. I'm actually from Ypsilanti, so on the east side, near Ann Arbor. So I've noticed that the greenwashing, I want to say, is very loud over there, and it's different over here, but I do want to invest myself in Kalamazoo. I do really love Kalamazoo. I love the programs here. I love the people that I've met. And so I think that this would be a really good opportunity, especially because I've also been doing an internship with Senator Jeff Irwin. And so seeing how, his legislation has been looked at the state level, I think it's kind of emphasized for me just the importance of local government, and I think this is something that I would be a really good fit for. So thank you.
Awesome. And you're available the third Wednesday of the month at 4:30?
I sure am.
Okay. Great. And what specific, sorry, other people can go too, but.
Mine's just more of the time, the length of the time commitment we would be hoping for. When are you graduating and what are your plans post-graduation?
So I'm graduating next year, spring 2025. I just applied for it 2 days ago, actually. And I do have my housing secured for next year. And I do plan on staying here because I think that the connections I've already made have been really influential for me. And also just, I want to have roots in Kalamazoo and get involved in these organizations. So I've been planning on working with KCCC and just getting involved more on campus and learning about that. And I also want to use the people that I've met at the Capitol to kind of get more connections and be able to, I kind of want to start my own community outreach programs or see what I can do on this committee to get more people interested, especially young people. I think people are very, they know an overview of, the climate crisis and stuff like that. But I think seeing somebody who they can relate to would be really helpful. And also I just want to see what are the main concerns that people in Kalamazoo have that I can be a part of. So
Cool. And I guess what specifically environmentally are your main focuses also locally?
Yeah. I've been really interested in waste, reducing waste in any way that we can. I see on campus the amount of food waste that is prevalent there. Over the summer last year, I worked at Waste Management as an environmental steward there. And so I saw just the vast amount of trash that piles up. I mean, part of my job was to clean up the roads where the trucks came in, which meant picking up trash and the amount of plastic that was there, the amount of foam. And I mean, these trucks are coming in and out all day, every single day. And so I kind of have a different perspective on it now, and I see it, people just kind of throw, we have trash cans everywhere, but what is actually happening to it, and how can we kind of reduce single-use plastics and stuff like that. So I think that that's a focal point for me. On a macro level, not to get into details, but I'm really interested in clean energy, renewable energy, what we can do for the city in that aspect, how we can, I was kind of talking to Mr. Gish about this, he was mentioning pollinator gardens for the city, for just how we can get maybe rooftop solar or stuff in that aspect. I think that's really interesting to me. So yeah, I would say those two.
Cool. Any other questions? Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks. I guess you can sit too.
Thank you.
So I guess, do we request a motion, or do I request a motion for approving? Or I can't remember the process for how we officially want to go about this. Okay, yeah, I know so that would be our motion would be to recommend. The city commission would have to officially place them. I remember that. Okay. Well, would anyone,
I'd be happy to make a motion that we recommend both candidates. It would be nice to get someone with experience in biking and canoeing and interest in trees, and someone from the student community as well to bring some new energy. So I'm wholeheartedly recommending both.
And I would second that.
great. Do we want a discussion on that, or I agree basically, but so Any other discussion? Okay, then we can go for a vote. So all in favor? Aye. All opposed? None. So unanimous. Welcome. So we have to send that recommendation to the City Commission for their next meeting. Do you remember when that would be? So then you're able to start next month for your first meeting. I believe the 3-year term would technically have started in January. So you're missing like a few months of that 3-year, but just to keep it on the year. So cool. Okay. And yeah, you are welcome to stay or go. But yeah. Cool. Moving on. I guess according to this one, we will just go to new business for number 2, so mode shift. We have Dan here, and you sent a presentation. Did you get that? Cool. I didn't get it till right then. Yeah, you can go right up there. And then are we able to put, cool. Sorry.
There we go. So are you in control?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're in control. We'll work together. All right. Hello, Environmental Concerns Committee. Thank you for having us today. My name is Dan Baer. I'm a co-founder of ModeShift Kalamazoo. ModeShift Kalamazoo came into existence around 2020, 2021, kind of in the deep dark days of the COVID pandemic. In the social media realm. Dustin Black and I met through social media, and we decided we had similar interest in making Kalamazoo change in this way, and so we brought it out of the internet into the real physical world of humans in Kalamazoo. So ModeShift is a collective of people working to make it easier for walking, biking, and transit to be a first transportation choice for people in Kalamazoo. We host community building social events, and in our work, we partner with local organizations and city staff to help improve the physical landscape of the city. I live in Kalamazoo. I'm a dad. I have a kindergartner. I love walking for transportation. I love cycling for transportation. Those are usually my first choices. I do drive. Kalamazoo is a place where driving is also often a necessity, and I just try to limit that as much as possible. I also, when I get a chance to take Metro Transit, I get really excited. I really like riding the bus. So that's a little about me. Next slide. All right, so I'm gonna, on the presentation today, I'm gonna more focus on the kind of environmental reasons for the advocacy work that we do in Kalamazoo, and I'm gonna not focus too much on some of these other aspects of why we mode shift. The bottom one is fun. I'll talk a little bit about fun, but that's my daughter, and that's our preferred way to get our Christmas tree is on our cargo bike. So I have an electric cargo bike, and it's quite fun, and I have found a safe route to the tree lot at Drake Road, so that's worked well for us. The other things I'm going to focus less on are the dangers associated with our roads and motor vehicles. You can see the number, that's a global number of over 1 million dead and 50 million injured globally. Financial, both individual and societal costs associated with over-reliance on automobile. And then, of course, health concerns with sedentary population, explosion of diabetes and heart disease and other diseases of our sedentary lifestyles. Those are all reasons why I mode shift and why many people involved in the collective. I'm not going to focus too much on that, though I'm going to talk more about the environmental for our concerns today. So next slide, please. So this is just kind of a 101 environmental problems with cars. Of course, climate change is at the top of the list and the top of mind for anyone who's thinking about the environment these days. Greenhouse gas emissions, pollution associated with cars also. So I found a statistic that 4 million people die globally from pollution from the transportation sector. And I have a graph that'll show kind of the breakdown of where some of the problems in the transportation sector, how it breaks down. And of course, we have air pollution, noise pollution, and water pollution associated with roads and parking lots. The noise pollution really, it really hit me hard in the early days of the pandemic when we were home. There were weeks where it was incredibly quiet in Kalamazoo, and you could hear birds in a new way, you could hear neighbors talking and laughing in a new way. It was really like a revelation, and it was quite pleasant to have that experience and think about what our world would be like if it was quieter. And cities are not loud places, cars are loud. A lot of the sound that we're getting is coming from cars and their tires is where a lot of the noise from cars are coming from. We have land use concerns associated with cars. So we have habitat fragmentation, loss of farmland, suburban sprawl, and that includes both housing and job sprawl, which we certainly see in our county. And we also have a unique situation in Michigan where we have kind of a shrinking tax base and continually growing infrastructure costs. So the population of our state is essentially stagnant for maybe an estimate 50 years now, but we keep building more roads, more power lines, more water, more sewer. We have the same population that's trying to pay for that. So what are we not paying for? Why are our roads in such bad condition? Why is our electrical grid in such bad condition? These are some of the reasons, because we have sprawled out too much. And then there's the life cycle costs associated with cars. There's energy needed to build the car, mine the materials that go into the car, run the car, transport the car, and eventually this huge item goes into a landfill, what can't be recycled. And cars are enormous, and here's an enormous car that my daughter and I witnessed when we were going out for an ice cream. Quite imposing. Next. So what can we do? What are some ways to mode shift, and what are some alternatives to cars in Kalamazoo? This is a picture from the holiday parade this past year. Metro Transit did a really nice job. They do a really nice job generally getting people around Kalamazoo. My family moved here from Ann Arbor 9 years ago. We used the bus a lot in Ann Arbor. We weren't sure how well it would work for us here. And it's worked pretty well for us here, especially going from the neighborhood to downtown and back. We haven't used it so much to go out into more of the suburban areas around, and I think it would be more challenging to use the bus and have to do transfers. But for going from the neighborhood to downtown, Metro has worked well for us. They've had some challenges with staffing, and that has affected some of their scheduling. There are some things kind of outside their control, I think, but we especially rely on it in the wintertime, on days when we don't want to ride on our bicycle, if it's especially snowy and icy. Some people in Kalamazoo put studded tires on their bike and bike all winter long, right through the snow. It's not something me and my family enjoy doing, so we'll kind of use the bus more, or we'll use our car more in the winter also, as we need. We still keep one car in our family. School bus, of course. We are lucky to be able to put kids on a school bus. So my family certainly uses a school bus to get our kindergartner there. We bike, my wife and I. It's probably our primary mode of transportation for commuting in Kalamazoo, and also we can do shopping trips and school pickups with the cargo bikes. New in Kalamazoo, we have a car share program, the MDO car share, and they have one car available that I'm aware of in Edison neighborhood. I haven't used it yet. I don't know if anyone has. I'm excited about this because we had a car share when we lived in Ann Arbor, and it's kind of what helped my family get rid of one of our cars and go down to one car. Initially, it kind of made it, having another option made it a little less scary getting rid of one car. And we've just now for 10 years been one car and have gotten accustomed to it. Another thing that has helped us be a car light family in Kalamazoo is that we have family in Kalamazoo. So my in-laws live in Kalamazoo. They have 2 cars. If we need a car, we can borrow a car for them. So do you have family or friends that you can borrow a car from in a pinch? And we do that from time to time. It's becoming more and more people are working from home these days. So that's another way, that's kind of an alternative transportation in a sense. And then car light life. And, when I'm talking about this with people, I really want to emphasize that it doesn't have to be an all or none mode shifting. You don't have to ride your bike with the studded tires in the wintertime, and be hardcore about it. Like, try it once a month, try it, on a nice summer day, go to the farmer's market, do something that's kind of low stress, find a friend who does it and go along. It doesn't have to be all or none. Just kind of dip your toe in the water. I grew up personally in a far out suburban area that was kind of borderline rural. It was completely car dependent. I didn't really ride my bike much, except in my little neighborhood as a kid. So this is something that I've learned how to do as an adult, and it takes time and it's not easy, and people need to be patient. So yeah, next slide, please. Here we are on the way to the school bus stop. You can see some of the challenges of mode shifting. Sometimes you encounter Herbie Kirby's on the sidewalk, and you got to watch out for. So environmental benefits of active transportation include less pollution and clear skies, healthier communities, healthier people within the communities, a reduction in harmful chemicals, both from the release coming out of the car's tailpipe, but also, in runoff and things like that. Fewer cars equals fewer roads. And that kind of gets back to that sprawl issue that I was mentioning before, and then less noise pollution also. So the benefits, we can spend a lot of time talking about the benefits and going into detail on the benefits, but these are just some of the main ones that I wanted to highlight today. This is in my neighborhood street, and you can see in this picture there's a bike route that will connect from the West Main Hill neighborhood into the Westwood neighborhood. And this is a great route for getting from a core Kalamazoo neighborhoods out to the shopping areas out on West Main and Drake. There's really actually quite a comfortable, safe bike route that has signs the whole way. So I've really enjoyed learning how to get around out there. Next, please. And cars are great tools. We've gotten to a point where cars have almost become a necessity for living a dignified life in the United States. It's hard to get around without them, and it shouldn't be so hard. But I think we should go back to cars being a tool that is not needed for every single thing that we do in our day. We should have more opportunities to do walking and biking, walkable neighborhoods especially. We would like to see more emphasis on a denser city, in building more in the core of our city. So I would, for mode shifting, fewer cars are good, smaller cars. You can see the juxtaposition between these 2 cars. This is a picture in Amsterdam. And so a lot of people are driving these very small cars there, but the American influence you can see in the cars, in the BMW next to it, getting wider, bigger, taller, is happening in European cities too, even the ones that are really transit forward, walkable, bikeable. You're still seeing these giant cars kind of moving in, and more shared cars. And I'm really, really pleased to see that we're finally getting some car share going here in Kalamazoo. Next, please. So it's not always easy mode shifting. Here we are going to the Metro Transit stop on West Main. The snow gets plowed into the sidewalk there. So it's hard, and if you're using a walker or a wheelchair, you're not going to really be able to move through that situation. If you're an elderly person who might be extra afraid of falling, that's going to be an intimidating situation. You're going to go in your car because that is not worth the risk. So we toughed it out going to dance class downtown. We made it. We didn't fall. But this is just to highlight that there's an understanding of why more people aren't walking, why more people aren't biking, why more people aren't using the bus. And so we're trying to think about that why, what we can do. So we're trying to build community around this, talk about what works for us, what needs improvement, build partnerships with local agencies and organizations, in city staff and city electeds, and build relationships and figure out these problems. They're solvable problems, and we can work together to solve them. There's my contact info if anyone would like to reach out to me. ModeShift has a presence on Facebook and all the various social medias, so check out that, and thanks for having me here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Are there any questions? Or?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about your take on, I know it's slowly going with the transition to electric vehicles, but what's your organization's take on hybrids and electric vehicles?
Yeah, I think they're a good bridge in the direction. I think it's a very small incremental step in becoming more environmentally friendly, because there's still a huge amount of resources that are going into building those cars, and there's still it's not to veer away from the environmental aspect of it. You still have. Electric cars are often heavier than internal combustion engines, so it's more dangerous for people on bikes, potentially more dangerous for people walking, and those vehicles are still really big. So I think different people might have different takes within ModeShift. I have a concern with the size of our vehicles generally, and it's a tricky situation because we're almost in a vehicle arms race right now, because vehicles keep getting bigger, and you want to be safe in your vehicle when you're going out, so you want to have a bigger vehicle, and so I don't know where this ends. You're seeing some ridiculously large vehicles right now. So yeah, I think of as EVs as an incremental step in the right direction. You're getting rid of that tailpipe emission. That's good, but I still think the emphasis needs to be on walkable, bikeable transit. I think those are the ways we're really going to get around in the future. There's also kind of the equity issue. Cars are getting very expensive, and electric vehicles are getting very expensive. They're very high tech, and so poor people are increasingly unable to afford vehicles. So yeah, I think that's another issue too. Yeah.
I'll add just a tiny bit to that. I guess this way I see it is a lot of the shift of funds and focus has been from individual car use of gasoline dependent to individual car use of EVs, and it's ultimately helping the auto industry and not helping as many people as public transportation improvements would. Yeah, and car bloat is the name of cars getting bigger and bigger. That's it's good to have a word to it, I think so.
Yeah, I think a lot of Americans, and especially a lot of kind of middle class and professional Americans, haven't experienced public transportation and haven't experienced good quality public transportation and seen what a properly invested public transportation system can be, and it can be really, really good if it's properly invested in.
I agree. Thank you so much
Sure,
for coming.
yeah.
I thought more people should hear about mode shift and the stuff you guys are doing in the community level for this. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so now we're going to go to unfinished business. And that includes talking about the Kalamazoo River. David is not here. Did anyone else have anything added to add to that? Yeah, there's cleanup that the city's partnering in. Is that what you're pulling up? The city's partnering in a cleanup on the 20th Saturday of April, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., Mayor's Riverfront Park headquarters. So a lot of different organizations are partnered in that. So they're really hoping for a good turnout. Hopefully we can get a lot of community together for that. So that's the only thing I knew of as well, besides might have some river comments in the water quality area. But yeah. And then did you get, moving on to the waste updates snapshot, did you get that email from Chris? I was working through to lunch to be able to come here, so I didn't get that until right now. Yeah, it was just sent to us. Yeah, so this is just to present that, if we can get that up in a minute here. Oh, cool. Cool. So here's the at a glance. Y'all in the audience can see it up there, and then we can see it down here. Also, the next EPS and electronics recycling. Do you know if that includes, I had to ask this question now, I can't remember, if it includes the shredding as well? I can maybe figure that out soon here. But anyway, that's the same time, or at least overlaps with the cleanup, which is also at Mayor's Riverfront Park. So if you're going to go to the cleanup, bring your extra EPS that you have around and electronic recycling for that. So yeah, and also next month we have the waste coordinator for the city, Chris Broadbent, coming in to talk about some of this too, so he'll be able to answer some more questions if you want to get those ready. And we also will have Bobby's recommended guest to talk about how compost has looked in a different city level, so we can ask them questions about that as well. So new members that are interested in waste also can have some questions ready to go. Great. So yeah, we don't need to read all of those details. You saw it. And then, do you have a sustainability plan update for us?
Yeah, various projects going on. You might see an article in MLive today about charging stations for city use. So the city's purchasing 2 electric pickups and going to install some charging stations around. That was just approved yesterday by the city commission. So it's the big news. Other than that, grants. I believe we talked previously about a My Healthy Climate Corps. So we were one of 30 cities in Michigan to host the inaugural My Healthy Climate Fellowship. That individual you know as Alexa, who was my intern. She started on Monday, so she's moving into this new position. So that new position will be focused on electrification, decarbonization, and energy efficiency in the built environment. So Alexa will become an expert in the Inflation Reduction Act and help folks in neighborhoods try to electrify, save some money, and cut down on their greenhouse gas use. It's the big news for this month.
Hey, Justin, just a real quick question. Do you know where those charging stations will be installed? I mean, it's not a do or die that I know right now. I'm just curious.
I know some, but Vice Mayor Hess might know more.
Hi. 2 of them are going to be installed at the headquarters, or at police headquarters on Crosstown Parkway. One, I believe, is on, I think it's what was it, 260K that 260,000 that we approved. One is for the Harrison Street, a fast charger for their vehicles there, and one is going to be on Stockbridge. So this is the beginning of moving toward full electrification of the fleet. So we're excited about that. Yeah, I have a few more things for you if you want, but have Justin finish.
Just a question about the pickup trucks. How will they be used? As a direct replacement, or?
I believe they're a direct replacement, and are they granted? They're a grant. I didn't Ford give them to us?
There's grant money involved, from my understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they will replace.
They'll replace
some
gas
trucks.
vehicles. So hopefully we'll have a net decrease in our emissions.
Justin, you know what kind of pickup trucks?
I have to look up the article. They're not. No, they're Chevys. Because I was saying F-150 all day, and I read the article. Yeah. Yeah, I believe they're Chevys. I don't know what type.
Do you know where the grant was from for that by chance?
No, this is a public service grant. I wasn't involved.
Fair. Did you want to do your additional, did you have something additional you said? Or it sounded, if you're done?
I've just been writing down a few things while I've been listening here. And first of all, I'm really happy for for the two new members here. I think they'll be great. Welcome. And, Dan, thank you for that presentation. The commission, for the time that I've been on it, is really concerned about the speed and the size of the vehicles in town, and just this culture of speeding, and the way that community planning, economic development deals with it is through road dieting and changing the roadways. And so we need as much support for that as we do for alternative methods of transportation. But it really is changing this culture, and we have to change our minds about this. I went to the opening or the unveiling of the car at it's at the Creamery, the electric car at the Creamery, and it's amazing. So $5 an hour, you can sign up online to rent it for $5 an hour or $50 in the day. All the insurance and maintenance is taken care of. And so Hollander has done the work to know that housing and poverty and transportation are linked. And this is their one little way to do that. If there's any way that ECC can find to work on more of these vehicles available, why can't you check a vehicle out of the library, right? Like, is there a way to engage someone downtown so that, get the bus downtown, and if I need to go on an appointment elsewhere, out county or something, there's a car available downtown. So just a thought for something for ECC. And then on May 11th is the bike rodeo, the bike show right here at Bronson Park, and the biking around town. So that'll be exciting. And I think KDPS is having a bike. When is the bike rodeo? Do you know what that is? When that is, Dan? Somewhere in April. There's a bike rodeo down at Mayor's Riverfront Park as well. So everybody can learn to use their bikes. But again, thanks for everything you're doing. I look forward to moving all this forward.
Do you have some answers for us? I don't know if that was enough time, but.
Yeah, no, it's always like a game show here. I got to be better prepared. I never have questions. All right, 2 electric Chevy Silverados used for use by public service staff.
Full size.
2 level 2 EV chargers at KDPS headquarters, 1 level 2 EV charger at Public Services Stockbridge facility, 1 truck mobile charging recovery system to support the EV roadside assistance, 2 level 2 and 1 DC fast charger at Public Services Harrison facility. It doesn't name the grant, but it says that grant money was involved.
So if it says grant money was involved, is that just a portion of it or all of it? Or is that too much to ask as well?
It's not too much. I don't know. Yeah, there was some grant money.
Okay.
I guess I'd be more interested, why we're asking, what do we want to see? Get to the bottom of it.
Well, I guess I would like to know where the grants are coming from, because are these grants for just that purpose, or are those types of grants also possible to invest more in things like public transportation, potentially? So because from what I've seen in general, and I'm not going to say specifically here, but a lot of times grants for things like e-charging stations are coming from automobile investors interested in giving grant money towards those kinds of things. So is it only something that's possible for that kind of a use, or just interested?
Yeah, no, I see. No, that makes it more clear and helps me understand it. I'll check. Initially, I would say that it's probably some type of Michigan My Healthy Climate grant. I don't know. I won't assume. I'll come back with an answer for you next time.
That'd be awesome. Maybe we can put that in continued. Should we keep a item on the ongoing business having to do with this? Cool. Okay. That could tie into your appreciation of cycling and stuff too. So, which I share. So, okay. Then moving on, I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything from the other version. Yeah, I guess I wrote in and have been writing in if anyone has any suggestions of things to add to the agenda, open to it. I think we might have a pretty full one next month, but we can add more things. And you can both also think of things that you would want to bring to the table, of things you want to add on. Soon we're about to go into our subcommittees, so everyone is pretty much on one or multiple of these subcommittees, and that requires, or like, they're usually going to another meeting and then reporting back what's going on. So we're always able to adjust those, or you can look into those. Okay. So does anyone have anything to add? Okay, great. Then we can go to the reports. So NFP Review Board, Bobby is not here. So I haven't heard, I don't believe I heard, unless it was a really long time ago, any updates for that. So we'll move on. And then Air and Water Quality. Bobby's also not here, but I did want to add something. I think probably most people saw the chemical spill from Pfizer a little over a week ago. The most recent article I saw was yesterday, showing that over 1,000 spilled, but 94% was contained on site. And Jim Baker's comment was that the city can handle up to, I believe it was 258 gallons per, I assumed, day. I couldn't remember if that was the amount. So it was well within their capacity of containing the pollution, according to Jim. So did anyone else hear more or have any other comments on that?
I think the only other thing I saw was that they've lifted the no contact.
Yes, yeah, that was in that article as well. So yeah, there was a no contact advisory. Then there was a, we won't know the extent of this for a little while. Testing had to go up to Muskegon and stuff. And then a week after the no contact was lifted, and they told us the total that was in that.
Just a point of clarification, what did get released did go to wastewater treatment, not surface water, and that's the reason that the no contact was
lifted.
Released, which is great that it did not get to the either the Portage Creek or Kalamazoo River or Davis Creek.
Thank you. I was not 100% clear on that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. And then does anyone have any other updates with air quality issues? I don't know of anything offhand. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Did anyone else see the news about the graphic packaging? That was, they lost it.
I saw a little bit about that, but I didn't know enough, and I would love someone that knew more about it to speak to it. But they
Yeah.
We're no longer, I think I read something about they threw it out. So
Yeah, there were some factual inconsistencies and some leaps in logic that were not
according
not true. They were assumptions. So that's, if I find the article, I can send it out.
Yeah. So one note to that is, I don't know the specifics, so I don't know if this is with that, but when we had people come to the ECC previously talking about this and talking about lawsuits in these types of cases, it's very, very hard to prove specific burden of proof of the correlation connection to causation correlation. So it was thrown out. And I don't know more than that, so I was really hoping someone else would be able to speak to it more. But I just wanted to note that it is very hard to prove that. So that's my final comment, I guess. Hopefully we can hear more next month. Moving on to wildlife and natural resource protection. Oops, that's you.
That's me. Nothing really new to report that hasn't already been stated.
Okay. And planning commission?
Not too much new with the Planning Commission. They're doing there was a proposal for another vacation of like Water Street, so near where the arena is, which would kind of narrow Water Street. It's basically like avoiding like building too close to Acadia Creek. So that was recommended by the Planning Commission, but that was the only.
Was that a variation request approved or something? Is that what you're saying?
A vacation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're basically like proposing to narrow Water
okay.
Street.
Okay.
Yep, but that was all.
Thanks.
Yep.
And tree committee.
As you probably know, I am a relatively new member to the tree committee, taking over for Gail, who served for I think 6 years. I'm learning a lot. The first thing I'm learning is that we don't meet very often. We didn't meet in January and we did not meet in February, but we did meet in March. And what came before the tree committee in March were requests to remove trees for different construction projects. One is, if anybody's been going down Oakland Drive by Angling Road, you'll know that the country club has a huge project. It's being resculpted completely. But the request is to remove a few trees so that the intersection at the traffic light of Angling Road and Oakland can actually be squared up. And that's where the traffic will enter and exit from both Angling Road and from the country club parking lots. And so what they were asking us if they could remove about 10 trees, not that big. And what the solution has, we did eventually approve it, but the solution is kind of a 3-to-1 replacement for the trees that are, and as close to possible in that neighborhood. And it looks like they're going to go in across the street on the east side, on the country club side. So, yes, question?
Are there size requirements for the replacement trees for the 3-to-1?
That I don't know, because I'm still new enough that I'm learning that it's not always clear when an motion is passed. My understanding is that they'll be coming back next month with a follow-up on that the trees have not been removed yet, but they'll be coming back with a more complete tree inventory of the trees that are going to be removed.
Is there, and I'm sure you don't know this answer quite yet either, are there any requirements about the trees that are replacing the removed trees, if they're local species, if they're species that encourage a lot of diversity?
The answer is that they will defer to the tree committee and the Department of Public Services.
Okay.
And the emphasis is going to be on native trees, and also and shade trees as well.
Okay.
And there is a list of trees that they don't like. They're not crazy on black walnut and locust and basswood. It's just that I don't understand all of that yet. The other one, which was much more difficult for me, is a city water project on Lulu Street in the north side, where they received a $20 million grant from Eagle to put in new water lines. And new water, like tear the street up. And Eagle had very specific spacing requirements on how close the water line could be to the trees in the curb lawn. And the problem I had was that there's probably 7 or 8 sycamore trees like this. And that just, to me, is really hard to come up with that compromise. And my part of the discussion was, you realize that for some people on the, what would that be, the west side of the street, they're losing all their shade trees. And so we did get some compromise on that, in that usually the city is only allowed to plant in the curb lawn, and they can move things around, but we're talking little trees like this. So they have found some additional funds that they are going to actually work with the homeowners to plant in the yards out of the curb lawn in order to help compensate. And as we all know, that's not great because you're losing a tremendous amount of shade. But they were not, one of the issues was in a public safety sense, they didn't have enough water pressure to do firefighting. The lines were so small, I think they were like 6-inch lines in some places. So that's the dilemma that I see. I mean, it's not all good times.
The question I would have, I mean, that's excellent readout that you did. I'm just kind of curious, if they put it in the homeowner's yard, it becomes their responsibility, correct?
Yes.
Because right now, the city, if it's on city property, they're responsible for, we as the city are responsible.
Right. And I would say the answer to that is more to the capacity of the department. Because, for example, we discussed where I live in the West Douglas neighborhood in early December, we had maybe 150 new trees planted, which is awesome. I mean, just really all these gaps in curb lawn and in other public spaces. But the watering contract is for 5 times a year. And if you know anything about trying to get a new tree to take hold, 5 in a drought summer is really going to be tough. And so they're encouraging buy-in from people that live close by. We had a gentleman from the Vine neighborhood say they carry 5-gallon buckets of water down to the new plantings and, maintain the mulch and stuff like that. So it's something for any neighborhood. If you have new tree plantings, anyone wants to adopt a couple of trees, it's not like you have to do a lot, but it might need help to have some supplemental watering.
I have several questions.
Yes,
So-
please.
So 5 waterings, that's a part of the contract for when the city is contracting out tree plantings?
Yes.
Okay, because we were,
In my neighborhood, it was all contract planting, and they mulched at the same time. And then they're contracted for 5 times over the next 2 years, 5 each growing season, if you will. And they'll maintain mulch if needed, but over 2 years, I kind of doubt it.
you'd be surprised. Okay.
Well, they put it on really thick.
So also, yeah, for the planting a tree in someone's yard versus in the curb lawn, I remember some sidewalk issues where sidewalks that needed to be repaired because of trees on the side of the person's house property would then be responsible for the sidewalk damage, but if it was in the curb lawn, then the city's responsible. So is there anything changing with that if they're helping people?
I think because of what we say, somewhat dire impact to at least the residents on one side, the city is going to come back again for the next couple of months to discuss how they're going to address that. They're not going to put it just on the other side of the sidewalk. They've got to have to get it further into the property and then try to make arrangements with either landlord or homeowners to help maintain it. And, you can't guarantee that, but that's my understanding at this point. The third thing I wanted to mention is, on the very much of the positive side, I introduced to the tree committee the organization known as the Urban Wood Network. Since the city has adopted a ban on burning trees that are taken down and harvested, it's a good time to talk about alternatives. And the idea behind the Urban Wood Network is to work with arborists, tree trimmers, sawmills, woodworkers to harvest wood and actually have it be used. And like, for example, on Lulu Street, I bet there was some awesome logs that probably didn't get it. But it's something that the tree committee wants to pursue. It would require the city to commit to being a member and paying membership, which I don't think is a big deal, but it's a time commitment. And because I brought it up, I am now responsible for trying to make contact with either the Grand Rapids or Ann Arbor or Detroit folks and have them come and talk to us. Because once you hear from other groups, how did you do it? How many buy-ins do you have? I'm hoping that we could do that. And Gail Walter was like 100% behind this. She said her husband's a woodworker, and they love to get some of the city their hands on the city wood if they could. So, in the interest of saving trees, I did print one of these which basically is just their website, and you'll see in one of the. It's really hard to print a whole website and get it correct, but you'll get to see the membership in the last page. And if anybody in the audience would like to see the other one, I'd be happy to send that down.
You know, as you're doing that, one thing we might consider as a committee is if you find one of the other cities or many that are actually have done this, I'd love to hear from them.
Yeah. I did a little research today. Michigan is one of the few that has a chapter in the Midwest. There's Michigan and Illinois, and I believe the members are Detroit, Ann Arbor, and Grand Rapids. That's it. And because it's not an easy strategy on, you're going to have tree trimmers who'd be like, well, what do you want me to do with a log? Where am I going to put it? Who's going to pick it up? Can I leave it on the curb lawn? All those kind of questions. And then consumers might be contracting out to take down, where it impedes on power lines, for that reliability. But I want to just learn more and sit down with one of them, or a phone call or something, FaceTime, and say, how did you do it? And I have a feeling it's going to be a mover and shaker, or someone that said, oh, I'm an arborist and I hate to see all this wood go to waste. And the history is that it started in the Midwest because of the emerald ash borer. And so the goal was to harvest all these trees that were dying and turn them into usable wood, flooring, building materials. So
what currently is happening? I thought when the city's cutting things, they have their own compost and mulch area where it's free for people to get mulch. So is that what's currently happening to all of those?
I can't answer that, and I don't know if Justin can, but my understanding is it's the smaller stuff being shredded, but I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine 2-foot in diameter logs. Any chipper or shredder can do that.
They are. There was a tub grinder that they rented, so all of the waste that came down in the last ice storm was ground up, and it's not being handed out publicly. There's too much random debris that we didn't want to spread around. But yeah, they did purchase a large tub grinder and ground it all up.
Even the big stuff?
Even the big stuff. Oh yeah, look up tub grinder. It's neat. Yeah.
Any other questions for the trees? Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Other thing that I wanted to ask, you said you were taking that class. Is that over, and what can you tell us from what you learned?
Yes, it's over. It was mainly over the winter. It was like once a week through Penn State Extension and, USDA and just a number of organizations. These are people that the people that taught the class have been doing tree plantings in urban environments for sometimes decades. So they had a massive amount of background and experience. And part of it was learning about what it takes to actually have trees survive in an urban environment. And it depends on whether you're talking about a neighborhood or like a downtown. And they showed lots of examples of what works and lots of examples that don't work. And then a couple of weeks of the training were about how do you organize tree planting in your neck of in your neighborhood, not so much where you got the funding, but what it takes to be a viable organization. And the main takeaway I got was, if you're the coordinator, you need to be available at any given moment so that people get to know you, to get the buy-in. And then you just have to have really good organizational skills in order to bring people together, make sure you have porta potties and water, and if you're planting in people's curb lawns, that you have gone to their house ahead of time to give them a chance to select the trees. It's not like you think of it and then 2 weeks later you're doing it. You are a half a year out at least, once you have your funding in order to get an event organized and get people to buy in and know that you have enough volunteers and all that. I mean, it's like anybody that's like bringing the circus to town. You've got to really have all your pieces together. So that's it. And then I learned things that you're not supposed to do, like I was doing with my peach tree. You have to mulch around the root area. Do not let grass puts out enzymes that impede the root growth, and most of the root growth is within a foot of the surface of the soil, regardless of the age of the tree. And then we had a whole class on proper tree trimming, pruning, because most people do it wrong, and there's a place where you can do it and not do it that allows the tree to heal the wound, and a lot of examples of what not to do, including people with chainsaws and extension ladders. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend the course to anybody. I think it was like $45.
What was the course called again?
Tree tenders.
Tree tenders, and you said it was with Penn State?
Penn State, right.
Thank you.
That was done by Zoom.
Awesome.
But really, really well done, really, what we say, experienced teachers.
So that came to my next question, the tree trimming. So it's been a little while since I've looked into it, but does the city then have specific, like laid out rules of basically for how to trim the trees properly for when it's impeding right of way or electrical lines or whatever? Because I would love for it to be done properly, and I have not always seen that.
That one I believe that there's a manual that's being finalized. That might be in a draft form, but that's something that I'll have to bring up and ask and try to get more information on, because I know, like just in my own neighborhood, when consumers come through, I'm like, boy, what they did they really chopped it up. Oh, thank you. 2023.
Yeah, so who?
So it's online, but I don't
I'll have to look at that again, and then I guess if it's not being done properly, if you could figure out what we're supposed to do.
I'll study the manual and
Yeah,
then try to
call 311.
ask good questions at our next meeting.
Okay. Calling 311 is always an option if you're in the city, but yeah, thanks. Okay, so moving on, Silent Lake Policy Management Council. It was a short meeting this last month. Just talked more about the ongoing water quality project and decided to send the letter about recommending not, I guess I don't want to say it wrong. So anyway, we had a recommendation about the zoning proposal, and even though the application's been withdrawn, we decided to still send that out there because we still felt that that was important. And then also, they are getting closer to finding someone to manage the land management plan that was finalized last year. So just to make sure that all of the pieces happen as the plan shows. So that's hopefully going to be wrapping up the next couple months, but that's all I got there. Parks and Rec, Rob did mention he wasn't going to make it tonight. I will just double check to see if he had any notes here. Okay, doesn't seem like there's any updates there. So also, Kalamazoo River Watershed Council, David is not here, we'll go on. And then Wellhead, tentatively next time in May. And David is not here. So the one thing that we have on the other one is any more phone comments. We usually try to do at the end as well. No one's on the line, okay. And then final comments from anyone else here.
Just a brief comment. You can dial 311 in the city or outside the city, 269-337-8000, and you'll get the same people.
Thank you. Okay, any other final closing comments from anyone? Okay, then we can adjourn at 5:44.